Don't blame me. Shaitan is going to talk on the day of judgment. He's going to look at you and me and says, don't blame me, blame yourself. ما كان لي عليكم من سلطان. I had no power over you. إلا except دعوتكم, I called you. فاستجبتم لي. You answered. Don't pray, there's still time. You said yes. Let's keep looking at the social media with all the haram. You said yes. Right? Don't put your hijab. You said yes. Let's do this. You said yes. ما لي عليكم من سلطان. I had no control over you. إلا أن دعوتكم فاستجبتم لي. I called you, you answered. فلا تلوموني, don't blame me.
The Prophet ﷺ gave us this beautiful remembrance to start off our day outside of the home, right? So you wake up with fajr, with remembrance and things of that sort. But as you're opening your door in those moments and you're about to step out into the world, the Prophet ﷺ said, those two angels that are protecting you, they come next to you, and at that moment when you say Bismillah, in the name of Allah, Tawakkaltu ala Allah, I put my trust in Allah, Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah, and there is no power or might except that which belongs to Allah. The Prophet ﷺ said, when you say that as you're entering into the world, exiting outside of your house, those angels respond to you, and as you say Bismillah, they say Hudita, in the name of Allah, you've been guided. And you say Tawakkaltu ala Allah, I've put my full trust in Allah, they say Kufita, you've been defended against anyone that's going to try to harm you today. And then they say Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah, and there's no power or might except that which belongs to Allah. They say Wuqita, and you've been protected from all harm for the day. And as you say that, as you're entering into this world, the two shayateen that come to attack you, two devils that want to attack you for the day, one of them says to the other, what can we do with a person who's been guided, defended, and protected? And so they know they can't mess with you for the entire day, and they abandon you for the rest of the day.
Don't talk too much. And talk these days is not only talk. There's a lot of talk these days, but without words being said. And most important, I will end up with this so we can give you some time for question and answer. Two things. Number one, dua. Don't give up on yourself. Even if you see yourself low, we all go up and down. No one is perfect. No one stay like this. No one, including the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. Otherwise, Allah would not have said to him, stay steadfast. So don't give up on yourself, but also don't be too lenient. It's okay. Don't keep saying it's okay to yourself. When you are too tight on yourself, say it's okay. When your nafs is too loose, say come on. Dua, dua, and don't give up. And make dua for each other. And one of my favorite dua is رُدَّ الْمُسْلِمِينَ إِلَى دِينِكَ مَرَدًّا جَمِيلًا. Ya Allah, bring all the Muslims back to your deen, beautiful way of return. Ya Rabbi, Ameen.
You know, if a person sits down and he tries this, you sit down maybe for 1 hour, and you read the Quran for 1 hour without any interruption, 60 minutes. You do not look left, you do not look right, you do not look up, you do not look down, you don't have no phone, you don't have any computer, nobody's with you. If you read it for 1 hour like that, and I'm just saying 1 hour for a time, you can make it longer, it's no harm. If you do that, then wallahi, by the time you finish, the way you started and the way you ended in that sitting will be different. The way you came when you started off, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, and by the time you read the end, when you stand up, you're going to be very different to when you started, when you began. The Quran, what it does for your heart is something that's not imaginable. It's not normal. The sakina that it has with it, the power that it has with it, the happiness that is accompanied with it, the solace, the serenity, is not something which a person can ever dream of in this world, and nothing else will grant you that. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُمْ بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ. Only the speech of Allah can give you that.
Did you know that every morning and every evening the Prophet ﷺ actually asked Allah, he made a dua to Allah to protect him from depression and anxiety? And he taught us to do the same every single day. Once he saw a man who was sad and anxious, and he told him, shall I not teach you something that if you say it, Allah will remove your worry and relieve your debt? And the man said, of course, yes, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, say this every morning and every evening, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan, wa a'udhu bika min al-ajzi wal-kasal, wa a'udhu bika min al-jubni wal-bukhl, wa a'udhu bika min ghalabat al-dayn wa kahr al-rijal. O Allah, I seek refuge in you from anxiety and sadness. I seek refuge in you, Ya Allah, from the inability and laziness. I seek refuge in you, Ya Allah, from cowardice and miserliness. And I seek refuge in you, Ya Allah, from being overwhelmed by debt and the force of men. Subhanallah. And the Sahabi, who the Prophet ﷺ taught this dua to, said, I did this recommendation of the Prophet ﷺ, and I swear, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala eased my anxieties and my burden of debt. Subhanallah.
But just realize that Allah chooses people He loves, and He tests them. And He doesn't test them to hurt them, and He doesn't test them to punish them. He tests them for a very different reason. Realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to purify and elevate those He loves. And there's a very powerful hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ says that there are a group of people who Allah wants them to reach a certain level. And He knows that they cannot reach that level by their deeds alone. And so He tests them. He gives them difficulty and struggle. Why? So that they can reach that level.
Because I will tell you one thing, Salah, it has halawa, it has sweetness. Okay, if I give you now a plate or a cup that is filled with dirt, it's filled with dirt and filth, and then I put some sweet honey inside there, and then I tell you drink it, are you going to enjoy that honey? Are you going to enjoy it? Why won't you enjoy it? Will you even be able to taste that sweetness of the honey? You probably won't, because you'll be put off by that dirt and filth that's in that cup, right? Do you agree? That's the same with your heart. That sweetness is the salah. If your heart is filled with dirt and filth and you haven't cleansed it before you've come to the salah, then you will not taste that sweetness of the salah.
Wallahi Muslims, if your belief becomes correct, you could be sitting on a volcano, you will be happy. If the way you see your Lord becomes correct, your worries will disappear. I watched Hurricane Katrina that hit America many years ago, and it destroyed a city. There was a little girl, everyone is panicking, this little girl is smiling, walking around smiling. So the camera stopped on her, without a worry in the world, the camera stopped on her. Sweetheart, are you scared? No. Why aren't you scared? So she said, my daddy's here. Daddy's here. And dad was a big giant. So a little girl's heart feels comfort because she's got the support of a bigger person. Imagine what your heart would feel if you knew Allah Rabbul Izzah and knew that Allah's support is with you.
Prophet ﷺ said that one of the most hated things to Allah is when someone says to his brother, fear Allah, and that person says, worry about yourself. Because you see, when someone says fear Allah, they are reminding you to have consciousness of Allah, be aware of Allah. So whenever somebody tells you to fear Allah or reminds you of Allah, take the advice, be humble and keep it moving.